Every year, millions of adults sit in a dental chair and hear a sentence that instantly changes how they see their smile. Your gums are receding. It usually comes with warnings. Deep cleanings, scaling and root planing, possible bone loss, future implants, maybe even tooth loss if things continue. Most people walk out thinking they brushed wrong, or not enough, or too aggressively. But gum recession doesn't begin with your toothbrush, and it doesn't end with a prescription rinse. The uncomfortable truth is this: gum recession is slow biological deterioration. It's not a sudden event. It's not one bad week of flossing. It's a long, gradual shift in tissue strength, collagen production, bone density, blood flow, and inflammation control. It happens quietly, millimeter by millimeter. You don't notice it until your teeth look longer, or cold water suddenly stings, or you see pink in the sink when you floss. By then, the process has usually been unfolding for years, and brushing harder won't fix it. In fact, aggressive brushing can accelerate mechanical damage. So what's actually happening? After the age of 50, and especially after 60, the body's collagen production declines significantly. Collagen is the structural protein that gives gum tissue thickness, elasticity, and attachment strength. Think of it as scaffolding. It keeps the gum margin tight and stable around the tooth. As collagen production slows, tissue becomes thinner, more fragile, more vulnerable. At the same time, circulation decreases, healing slows, inflammation lingers longer. Below the gum line, something else happens. Small periodontal pockets form between the tooth and gum. These pockets are too deep for a toothbrush to clean effectively. Bacteria settle in. Chronic low-grade inflammation develops. And over time, connective tissue begins to break down faster than it's rebuilt. That imbalance, breakdown outpacing repair, is the real engine of gum recession. Traditional dental advice focuses heavily on cleaning, and cleaning's critical. Removing plaque and tartar reduces bacterial load and prevents acute infection. But cleaning alone does not rebuild collagen. It does not regenerate connective tissue. It does not restore thinning gum margins. It does not strengthen the jawbone. Regeneration requires cellular activation. Specifically, it requires fibroblasts, the repair cells responsible for producing new collagen and rebuilding gum structure. If fibroblasts aren't stimulated, tissue doesn't thicken. If bone density declines, gums can't reattach firmly no matter how clean the surface is. So instead of asking, what rinse kills bacteria, the better question is, what supports real tissue repair? Let's walk through several commonly discussed remedies, from least impactful to most biologically meaningful, and separate surface support from true regeneration. First, mouth taping combined with xylitol. This one surprises people. Many cases of gum irritation are worsened by nighttime mouth breathing. When you sleep with your mouth open, saliva production decreases dramatically. Saliva isn't just moisture. It's protective fluid containing enzymes, minerals, and antimicrobial compounds. It buffers acids and protects soft tissue. 8 hours of dryness every night can weaken the gum seal and increase inflammation risk. Encouraging nasal breathing during sleep, sometimes through gentle mouth taping, may help preserve oral hydration. Xylitol adds another layer. It's a sugar alcohol that harmful bacteria struggle to metabolize. Regular xylitol exposure has been shown to reduce plaque formation and decrease certain pathogenic bacterial strains. This combination can improve the oral environment. It reduces bacterial stress and mechanical dryness. But here's the limitation: it protects. It doesn't rebuild. It helps prevent additional damage. It doesn't thicken existing tissue. It doesn't regenerate lost attachment. It's supportive, not restorative. Next, warm salt water with tea tree oil. Salt water reduces swelling through osmotic effects and creates a slightly alkaline environment that can slow bacterial growth. Tea tree oil has antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties and has shown modest improvements in gingival bleeding in clinical trials. These rinses can calm flare-ups. They reduce symptoms. Bleeding often improves within days, but rinses are short contact treatments. 30 to 60 seconds in the mouth does not create sustained biological signaling. Fibroblasts require prolonged stimulation to produce collagen. Structural repair is not triggered by brief surface cleansing. Again, helpful for symptom control, not for structural rebuilding. Then comes green tea, particularly matcha paste. Green tea contains EGCG, a polyphenol that inhibits matrix metalloproteinases, MMPs. These enzymes increase during inflammation and actively break down collagen. By reducing MMP activity, EGCG slows connective tissue degradation. Topical green tea extracts have demonstrated modest reductions in periodontal pocket depth in clinical settings. This is meaningful. It slows destruction, but it primarily blocks breakdown. It does not strongly stimulate new collagen production. It protects what remains rather than aggressively rebuilding what's lost. Better than rinses. Still limited in regenerative power. Now we move into more biologically active territory. Aloe vera combined with vitamin E. Aloe contains polysaccharides like oxymannan that have demonstrated fibroblast-stimulating effects in wound healing research. Fibroblast activation means increased collagen production. Vitamin E, as an antioxidant, protects newly forming tissue from oxidative stress during repair. Unlike a rinse, topical aloe can remain on tissue longer. That extended contact time matters. Healing is not instantaneous. It requires ongoing cellular signaling. Clinical studies have shown improvements in inflammation and measurable reductions in pocket depth when aloe is used adjunctively in periodontal therapy. This approach begins to support rebuilding rather than merely reducing symptoms. Still, it requires consistency, and effects are gradual. Next, hyaluronic acid gel. This is a major step forward. Hyaluronic acid is naturally present in connective tissue. It retains moisture, supports cell migration, and forms a protective matrix during wound healing. When applied as a gel, it creates a physical and biological scaffold over irritated tissue. That scaffold supports fibroblast movement and new collagen deposition. Clinical trials have shown greater pocket depth reduction and improved attachment levels when hyaluronic acid is used alongside professional cleaning compared to cleaning alone. Unlike rinses, gels remain in contact with tissue. That prolonged exposure supports regeneration. It hydrates, protects, and enhances healing dynamics. Now we move deeper, to the foundation, bone support. Your gums follow your bone. If alveolar bone beneath the teeth weakens, gum stability decreases. Vitamin D3 increases calcium absorption. Vitamin K2, especially MK7, directs calcium into bone through activation of osteocalcin. Without K2, calcium may circulate but not integrate efficiently into bone matrix. Research has shown that K2 supplementation can improve bone mineral density over time. Vitamin D deficiency has also been associated with increased periodontal disease severity. Bone remodeling is slow. This isn't a quick fix, but strengthening the foundation allows overlying gum tissue to stabilize. Without bone support, surface treatments hit a ceiling. Finally, the most comprehensive internal strategy, collagen peptides combined with CoQ10, ubiquinol form. Gum tissue is largely collagen. When collagen synthesis declines, thinning occurs. Hydrolyzed collagen peptides provide glycine and proline, key amino acids required for collagen formation. They supply raw material, but material alone isn't enough. Fibroblasts need energy. CoQ10 plays a critical role in mitochondrial ATP production. Studies have shown that periodontal tissues often have reduced CoQ10 levels during disease states. Supplementation has been associated with reductions in bleeding and pocket depth in certain trials. Collagen provides building blocks. CoQ10 supports cellular energy production. Together, they address structure and metabolism. This works internally. It supports regeneration systemically, not just superficially. That said, this is not magic. True gum regrowth is biologically limited. Advanced recession often requires surgical intervention for full correction. Supplements and topical strategies may improve tissue quality, reduce inflammation, and support healing, but they are not guaranteed to regrow advanced, lost gum height. Realistic expectations matter. Gum recession is multifactorial. Genetics, brushing technique, smoking, diabetes, medications, hormonal shifts, clenching, and bone density all contribute. No single supplement replaces professional periodontal care. But supporting collagen production, mitochondrial function, bone metabolism, hydration, and inflammation control can create a more favorable healing environment. And that's the key shift in mindset. Stop thinking in terms of what kills bacteria fastest. Start thinking in terms of what reduces chronic inflammation, what supports fibroblast function, what preserves bone density, what improves tissue hydration, what sustains repair over months, not minutes. Gum health is not restored overnight. It's rebuilt gradually the same way it was lost. If you choose to support it, commit to consistency. Think in 8-12-week windows, not days. Maintain professional cleanings. Use gentle brushing technique. Avoid aggressive mechanical trauma. Support systemic health. Address dry mouth. Correct vitamin deficiencies. Surface hygiene plus biological repair equals the best possible outcome. Your body does have repair capacity, but only when given time, stability, and adequate resources. Gums don't recede in a week. They won't rebuild in a week either. Slow loss requires steady correction. That's not marketing. That's physiology. And that's how you approach it intelligently.